Yes, Chef.
With Ryan.
It's the time of the week every Tuesday we're lucky enough to have a delicious treat with a delicious chef Ryan in the studio where he brings in some Korean ingredients or dishes and we talk all about it. Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning, Peter. How are you today?
You're looking very autumny today.
Yeah, you know, man, I feel seasonal.
Yeah? Are you like the kind of guy who, what do we say in Korean? 가을 타는 남자? Do you get sentimental in the autumn time?
Maybe.
Because you're matching my trousers today. We've got the same
match.
shade, haven't we? There we go.
That
would be weird if we wore that all in one.
We planned it that way. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it is autumn. You a fan of the season, yeah?
It's my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
More than spring?
Driving up here. Well, I guess I love spring for different reasons. But if I had to pick a season in Korea, it's got to be autumn. It's just gorgeous. Driving up here today, all the mountainsides.
The colors.
Just the colors, yeah.
Amazing.
Have you ever been to Naejangsan?
Naejangsan. We did Naejangtang the other day, didn't
we? Right.
Which is all the beef offcuts. But where is Naejangsan?
It's down south. It's down south on the west side, kind of. And I've never been there. I was wondering if you'd been there.
No. Is it famous for its autumn foliage?
It's called Innerd. The direct translation would be Innerd Mountain because it's kind of like an eagle's nest. You know, the mountains kind of form around.
Oh, wow.
And I've always wanted to go. And the peak time to be there was this past week.
Really?
For the autumn colors. It's just, I think because it's protected from the wind and it's just supposed to be absolutely, if you look it up online, Naejangsan, you'll see these bright red maple trees and the yellow ginkgo. And
I've seen many people posting up the beautiful colors of autumn around this time in Korea on their SNS. It looks so good to be
It's not the only place. It's just one of the ones I've always wanted to check out and haven't.
Yeah, even the mountains just behind Arirang Studios look beautiful.
Right.
Umyeonsan Mountain, Hwanaksan Mountain, absolutely amazing. Today we are not going to be talking about the leaves. I'm not sure if you can eat any of those. Maybe you could, right? If you pickle them or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? But we're going to be talking all about radish or mu. How do we describe this? Because it's not, if I say I'm going to give you a radish in England, it's that little pink thing,
right?
Which
in
inside
States,
is white. It's very small, but in Korea it's a huge thing. I mean, you could probably hurt someone really badly with this if you clobbered them.
Oh man, they're really big, and people often refer to them by the Japanese name, the daikon, but it's actually much bigger than that.
Oh, really?
The daikons are usually like a little bit more elongated and narrow.
They're the ones they sell in England actually more often, but here in Korea they're the very big fat ones,
right?
More often than not. So what are they called? Are they just Korean radish?
I suppose so. It's like, again, it's often referred to as a daikon as well. But your Korean supermarket, if you're lucky enough to have one near you, they've always got them. I've seen them in Texas in the Korean supermarket.
Yeah.
A little pricier than they are here.
Definitely, they're very reasonably priced here.
Oh man, if you got to eat and you don't have a whole lot of money. I mean, yesterday next to our farm, there's a lot of little farms, and we didn't get on the planting of the mu. Normally, you'd plant the radishes, I guess, a few months ago.
Okay.
And we didn't get on that. So, but the farmer near me did, and he was pulling up the mu as I drove by, and I was like, "Oh, 저기요, 조금 팔아, can you sell me some of those?"
Yeah.
And I thought maybe he'd kick up the price or something because he sees me just driving by my truck.
Sure.
But it was $1 per mu.
Really?
And they're huge. And you don't just get the radish, but you also get the greens, which become shiregi, the dried greens that go into soups and all kinds of awesome things.
Which tastes really nice, if you dry them out. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So you can use all components of this. And like Ryan said, this is easily available in many different countries, isn't it? You can find it also in England, in the States, in Korean supermarkets and whatnot. So that's what we're talking about. Mu. It's very easy to remember the sound of a cow, right? Mu. Radish. So you've brought in a lot of different versions, it seems, here into the studio. Our camera, there's some technical issues. We're trying to get it sorted out to be able to film it. But what have we got here, Ryan? Why don't we start with the plainer stuff?
Well, yeah, I think I brought two different ones. A good friend of mine, her father has a farm, and
she's actually outside the studio, isn't she?
She is. She came with me today, and it's really, I wanted you to see the difference between the organic Or even, sometimes even if it's not totally organic, but at least it's chemical free. They're not putting a lot of nitrogen on it.
Oh, okay.
The nitrogen makes things grow really quickly. The fertilizer.
Yeah.
And when things grow really quickly, they're going to have different flavor components. They're going to suck up water. They're going to grow really big.
Yeah.
But they won't be as intense of flavor.
I see.
So one of these is from the farmer near our farm.
Yeah.
And it has obviously been. Some of these were so huge. They're like volleyball size
On steroids.
Yeah. So one of them is that one, and then one was grown, and it was much smaller as well. One was grown down near Gwangju.
Okay, much more organic.
Exactly, totally organic. So
and these are just completely raw.
Completely raw, just sliced.
Okay.
And I know which one is which, but see if you can tell.
Okay, so we haven't brought in an actual moo in its normal form. You can see that on our social media posts. See what they look like, the big fat ones.
That's a picture of them getting pulled up yesterday at the farm near our farm.
Oh, really? You took the photo? That's so cool. Look how fat they are rather than long, which the Japanese ones often are, right? Okay.
They're huge.
So there's two here. I can immediately see a difference. Like one is more green, whereas one is almost totally pure snow white, right? Okay, so apparently one is organic and the other is not. I'm going to try the white one, which is, oh, look at that sound. That's so good for radio, isn't it? Okay, so this is the white one.
Some sweetness.
Yeah, some sweetness, not too spicy. Like I did tell Ryan in the song break, I tried it raw once. It's not that common to eat them raw, actually, but it was really a peppery spice to it. That one, not so much. Now the greeny one. Let me give this a bite.
Peter's taking these tiny bites. He's like, I'm not so sure about this.
Definitely different. I think I've got to say, this greeny one, it has a bit of a deeper flavour,
Absolutely.
I would say, than the white one. The white one is a bit more just watery and a bit less intense. So are we saying, as you said, absolutely, that this is the organic one, that you can really tell the difference? High five, yeah!
Well done, Peter.
It may not look as aesthetically pleasing because maybe you just want the white colour, but the flavour is a whole lot deeper in there, definitely.
There's so much more flavor there.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's good, yeah. So eating it raw is just if you like that kind of preference.
I actually don't know anybody that just sits and eats these raw.
Exactly.
But on the farm, on various times growing radishes over the years, when you pull them up and you've got something like this organic one and it's got that sweet, spicy flavor, it's so cool because I've been in Korea for years and you're eating this one, you're eating this one, you're eating this one, which isn't bad. It's just then you try one of these and you're like, wow,
that's what
there's
it's meant
so
to
much
taste
more flavor.
like.
Yeah, that's what it used to taste like before we started trying to grow them for market and not for consumption.
Yeah, okay, so you can see even the difference. We're still having technical issues with the camera in the studio, but this greeny one over here is the organic one from Ryan's friend's parents' farm, and this white one is what you'll often see, right, in the supermarkets and places like that where they're really fattened up.
But, the organic ones are often really white, too, on the inside. Maybe I just cut close to the edge or something, too.
Okay.
And then there's purple varieties, too, that have a little bit of purple through them.
Really?
Yeah, it's really cool.
I haven't seen the purple varieties.
They're
That's
really
cool.
good.
Okay, so you've also prepared some dishes, not just coming with raw moos and radishes. So what do we got here? Right in front of us is a very common side dish that you will see in Korea. There's a nice close-up. What is that called, Ryan?
That's moo sengche.
Moo sengche.
Right.
And how is this prepared?
It's really, really simple. I often think of it as like the laziest side dish. If you just take moo and like julienne it or shoestring it like this, right? Yeah. Pretty thin. You don't want to get any too big. And then salt it. And let it sit with that salt on it for about 10 minutes. Yeah. And what that's going to do is pull some of the water out. Okay. Yeah. Then you just kind of pour that water off. But you don't rinse it. You leave the salt on there. Just pour the water that comes off.
Okay.
Pour that away.
Yeah.
And then you add on your other ingredients, which are also really simple. It's just some red pepper flakes, some gochugaru.
We can see that's why it's got a reddy color, right?
A little bit of that's where the color comes from. A little bit of scallions, maybe some vinegar. You just want to kind of taste it. Maybe a little bit of garlic. For this whole amount here, you're talking like a half a clove of garlic, maybe. Yeah.
I love it. I'm sorry. This is really good one.
I must say that this one is way better than the ones I usually get at restaurants.
100%. It has so much more flavor. Like the ones at the restaurant can sometimes taste just like meh. Well, like it's just a texture. That's amazing.
This is made from the organic radish too.
Oh, really?
Right.
That's really good. It's got a real kick to it as well. The garlic you can taste as well, really well. I think sometimes a lot of places sometimes have also the very watery version of this, where it's hardly spicy. It almost tastes just like the moo.
Well, you know what that is? That's because they made it a couple of days before, 3 days before. And so it continues to water out and gets soft and you lose that crunch.
Oh, it's definitely good with the crunch. When was this made then?
Last night.
Oh, it's so fresh, so good. This they often give you if you get like a 떡만둣국 or some kind of beef-based broth. They'll have this on the side.
Yeah, it's
like
often
tongues and things like
really
that.
common side dish in those places.
It goes well once you've had some beef. I'll have this like as a little palate cleanser afterwards, and it tastes so amazing.
And that's what kimchi or this sengche is really all about. Is like cutting the fat in things.
Yes,
or balancing out those other flavors. So
yeah, because Korean people, if they eat something greasy or meaty or fatty, they need something like this, like at least some jalapeno pickles or peppers, right?
Well, it's no different from Mexican food. You need the salsa or the cilantro or the chopped onion or the chopped radish to go on your menudo or your tacos to balance out that fat. It's the same kind of deal.
Korean people, when they come to the UK, and only some places give you pickles and stuff like that, and when they don't get them and they're having something greasy, they'll often complain like, I can't eat anymore because there's nothing to cut through all this grease and fat. And I often have to tell my wife, okay, when we get home we'll have some kimchi or something like that. Ryan, that tastes amazing. So that's quite an easy dish to make.
Super easy.
What's next in this tiny little glass one?
Now, this is thanks to one of our writers outside here. Her mother made this, and I was so happy because I didn't get a chance to make any of this. But it's one of my favorite things. It must be my favorite thing with moo.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it?
This is moo malengi.
Oh, moo malengi. I love moo
muchim.
malengi. So it's a little bit more dried, right, than the version we just had before.
What you do is you cut them kind of like this as well. But then you put them outside in the shade. You don't want to have them in direct sunlight, but in the shade.
Right.
And you have to check them and kind of roll them around, maybe put them on a screen, but they'll dry out.
Yeah.
And then folks take them, put them in the freezer, and then throughout the winter, when they need some radish and they don't have any fresh radish anymore, you pull it out, you soak it in water.
Okay.
That water then tastes amazing sometimes.
Really?
It's one of my favorite things.
Wow.
Yeah. And after you soak them in water, then you can make a muchim, which we've talked about many times. It's usually a little bit of mayshil or the plum extract, some red pepper flakes, maybe a sweetener in there like a sugar, a honey or something like that. Definitely toasted sesame oil, garlic, sesame seeds.
Yep, you can see those in there.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
I gotta try this. It smells really good. It smells like there's really good chamgiram or toasted sesame
The
oil.
name is a bit tricky. Moo malengi. Malengi.
Malengo is like dried, right? So
the texture is so different, isn't it? It's got that
it's really good.
You can tell that it's a bit dry, but it's still got that crunch to it as well. I love this as a side dish with a bowl of rice or something.
It really confused me the first time I had it. I was like, "What am I eating? This is not dried, but it is dried. What is it?" And it took me a while before I found somebody who taught it to me. Yeah. And then it's just even more amazing.
It is so good, isn't it? You're right. This does, the texture, the taste, it just tastes better than the fresher version for some reason, doesn't it? Yeah. When you're, again, eating some spicy soups and some rice and stuff like this, you have this as a side dish. Oh, it's just so good.
We haven't gotten into the health benefits of moo yet. But,
wow.
I mean, by saving this and having it through the winter for you, I mean, this is really, really good for you.
Really?
Yeah, it's full of vitamin C. It's a detoxifying ingredient. So good for hangovers like Nejangdan.
Great.
Let's see. There's so many good qualities of it.
Sure, and it is, after all, a big fat vegetable, so what's not to be good for you, right? We still haven't even tried the main thing here, Ryan. Why don't we take a song break, and we'll come back and do that all by itself.
Awesome.
This tastes so good. I'm a big fan. And these dishes as well, especially the moo malengi, with just a plain bowl of rice as well, it just makes a whole meal. There you go. You've got rice as well. I'm going to have that. Why don't we play a song from Brown Eyed Girls? This one is Recipe. We're back for part 2 of Yes Chef with Chef Ryan. We're talking all about moo, or the Korean radish, the really fatty one. Ryan is giving a good sniff to the pièce de résistance of moo dishes. What is in there, Ryan? Give us a little hint. I mean, show it to our listeners. It's hard to decipher what it is just by looking at it, right? If you've not seen it before.
Well, these bits, let's see, right here, if you can see this.
If you're watching video radio, please turn it on.
Yeah, if you can see this is the radish, okay? So they're in great big chunks.
Yeah.
And what you do is you get your pretty big pot out and you put the chunks of radish in the bottom. Mm-hmm. And then you take something like a mackerel. You could use a lot of different kinds of fish, but this is the one done with the mackerel.
Mackerel goes well with it.
And you cut right through the whole body of the fish. Of course, you take out the innards, take off the head. But you cut right through the body of the fish, bones and all. Mm-hmm. I know that freaks some people out, but spend a little time in Asia and you'll forget all about it. It doesn't take long, just a little bit. And then you make kind of a yum yum or a sauce for it, which is a lot of soy, red pepper flakes, plenty of garlic, a tiny bit of ginger, maybe some kind of sweetener like honey. This one has honey in it.
Yeah.
And then you bring it up to a boil and let it simmer, and then you let most of the liquid kind of reduce off. Mm-hmm. And that radish takes on. Radish is so good at just absorbing the flavors around.
Oh, it absorbs so much of this saucy flavor.
You're gonna love this. I had some of this for breakfast.
It's so soft as well, doesn't it? The texture is just right. It's not mushy, but it's nice and soft.
Right.
And so this dish is known in Korea as 고등어 조림.
Right.
And the 고등어 is the mackerel, and the 조림 means this kind of style where usually there's a radish in there, right? In most 조rims.
Right.
And it just takes on all that flavor. Look how succulent that radish looks on the video radio. That's amazing. And it's going to taste as good. Let me give it a try.
It's really like braised. You know, that's what I would call it in English if I had to give it an English name, would be braised mackerel and radish.
And you may think, right, okay, I'm going to tell you, it takes on the mackerel flavor, but that's no bad thing at all. That's so good.
Yeah,
it's fishy, but it's in a great way.
If you just like cook a mackerel in a pan or in the oven, your whole house will end up smelling like mackerel. It's a strong smell.
That's true.
But in this, because of the garlic and the red pepper flakes, it really kind of calms that down. And plus, it's covered. It's braising in there. And then when the liquids reduce a little bit, you take off the top and check them out. You kind of scoop some of the liquid from the bottom, pour it over the top.
Yes.
And then, of course, hit it with some scallions and maybe some red and green chilies at the end. And
this with a bowl of rice is like the perfect food.
Some rice right here, buddy.
And the mackerel as well takes on the flavor. You know, the favorite part of mackerel when I'm eating this, tuck in, by the way, to the radish.
Yeah, man,
stuff,
my
right?
turn.
Right.
I'm getting...
The mackerel that I like the best in this dish is like the skin side, because it's like soaked up a little bit of the sauce as well, and it's really moist and succulent. Whereas if you have the meat side of things, like the other side, it's a bit meaty, so you have to keep dipping it in the sauce. But the skin side tastes so good in this dish.
Oh, that's because that's where the oil is.
Exactly. Oh, it's so oily, so delicious. If you're not a fan of mackerel, give this a try because it tastes so good. I'm going to have some rice because it is a little bit spicy. Not like a big kick, but no, it's delicious. This has been my favourite Yes Chef, I think, ever.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Really good.
We got some messages to read out from Siska here in Indonesia saying, good morning, Ryan. You've matched well again with your colours. We do this. We coordinate in the mornings. We have some video chats before we go out the door, of course. Ryan is obsessed with these moose. Don't eat them all. Leave one for me.
Are
they all gone?
No,
My
there's
goodness.
a couple more in there.
Siska says, talking of radish, I like the yellow radish, known as tamuji here. Right. You'll see that as a side dish very commonly in Korea. What do you especially get that with?
With smoked duck.
Smoked duck, yeah, okay.
And you use it as sam to wrap around.
Ah, yes, you get it that way. The other common way is just as the little yellow cubes, right?
Oh, of course, right.
And that is a favourite of kids in Korea, isn't it? They love it because it's very, like, sweet. Very crunchy.
In the kimbap, right?
Oh, in the kimbap as well. Yeah, that's common. And how, Siska asks, how do you get the yellow colour anyway? Because it's from this moo, which is white, isn't it?
Unfortunately, I think today it's yellow dye number 5.
Oh no!
But traditionally, Siska, it was done with Korean turmeric, which is you still can find it everywhere, but I don't see a whole lot of people using it as much.
Korean turmeric.
Yeah, it's sold fresh. In India, it's usually sold dried hard and then ground into a powder.
Yeah.
But here it's sold fresh, and it's a little bit more orange than yellow. But I believe that's what was traditionally used to make that color.
Wow.
Which is really good for
you. Cancer-fighting properties, you were telling me earlier. These days it is a lot of colouring. It still tastes good, but hopefully they'll go back to the traditional ways as well.
Let's do it.
Siska says, I love radish cakes as well. Here you have it with salted dried shrimp on top. A radish cake. My goodness.
Radish cake with salted dried shrimp. I
sounds...
think I'm going to need a picture.
Yeah, absolutely, Siska. Please post that up. And you also said, I like the ones which cut long and thin, the yellow ones, which have a bit of a spicy taste with some chili powder, almost like cabbage kimchi. I think I've seen those a lot of the time at Japanese places, you know?
That's right, yeah.
They taste really good as well, don't they? And the one you mentioned earlier with the smoked duck, where they'll cut the moo just like, what do you call that? Widthways, and you have those as
little circles, and they're brined or pickled for a little bit, so they're really pliable. They're not crispy, crunchy like these fresh ones.
Yeah,
and so they can wrap it. And you can find them now in the markets, and they'll have all these different flavors. You know, you can get like the wasabi one, or the yellow like turmeric one, or different flavors.
Yeah, at supermarkets you can find them like ready made like that, and they'll often sell them next to the smoked duck. So you just put the duck on the pan, have that as a little wrap, and it is so delicious, adds that juiciness to it.
So good.
We've got a message here from Ashik in Nepal. I think it's your first time messaging us from Nepal as well. I like your channel. Well, thank you. Stay tuned. Tuesdays are special because we have the camera in the studio. We'll put these videos onto YouTube as well. So please do check it out. Ashik, as it's your first time messaging us, we're going to send you a prize. Maybe, in fact, the chocolate sticks that were for Saturday, 11th of November. We'll send those out to you.
Capital.
Yeah, send us your name, your address, and your contact number, and then we'll send that package off to you. We got a couple more messages. Inyin says, I've been enlightened. All the while, I thought mu kimchi means water kimchi. That is mul kimchi.
Yeah.
There are two different ones, right?
Right. And I love that too. Mul kimchi.
Good. Oh, talking of kimchi, gakdugi is made from radish, right? Gakdugi is the radish kimchi, the big cubes, like dice almost. That is delicious as well.
When you get that one and it's really bubbly right in February, if you like make it this time of year, like everybody's doing. The markets are crazy right now because it's kimjang season. Everybody's making kimchi. But when that ferment is just right in like January or so, and it's still bubbling, so when you take a bite of this moo, it like sparkles.
It's a bit sour in there as well.
Oh, it's
Do
so
you
good.
like it like that?
I love it like that. When it's popping and still kind of sweet though. It's not super sour yet.
Okay.
That comes later. The ferment continues and things get more sour.
Yeah.
But right around January, that like pop and bubble.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Everyone's got a different taste, haven't they? Some people like it when it's just fresh and there's not so much of a sourness or a bubbly taste to it. Other people like it when it's super fermented and super smelly.
The whole probiotic.
Yeah, that's the great thing about kimchi, isn't it? It changes flavour if you just leave it in the fridge or wherever, the kimchi fridge.
And it doesn't get like necessarily better or worse. It depends on what stage you like it at. Like if it goes really, really sour, then it's time to make kimchi jjigae.
Yes, you just put it in the soup. So good, isn't it? We need to do a whole other episode on the radish kimchi because that is my favourite, right? Ingyin goes on to say that mu kimchi, the radish one, is my favourite type of kimchi. It's so refreshing. And also happy birthday to the junior writer. May you have a wonderful day. Well, with the cake she's on a good path to a great celebration. Roz from the US says, I really want to know how to use Korean radish other than kimchi and dicing it up or stir-frying it with beef. Stir-frying it with beef, is that a thing?
Absolutely.
Really?
Sure.
Does that taste
Just
good?
Soften it up a bit.
Oh.
Why not?
Nice, because Roz says she loves the spiciness and the crunch of this root vegetable. It's actually an ingredient in what's in your fridge, so maybe Ryan can come up with something for you in just a couple of minutes. We're going to round up this talk all about moo or radish. It's been delicious. So good for you as well. So lovely. Easily available in many different countries as well. So check this video out on YouTube. You got something to say, Ryan?
Yeah, one more thing about the radish. We talk often about like MSG People making food, it's a flavor enhancer. People making cheap food taste like better food by adding. Well, Moo has an amazing amount of natural MSG.
Really?
MSG occurs naturally in vegetables all over it. So this is in the most famous stock here in Korea, and there's tons of Moo in there. Wow. And that's the real deal, man. If you're gonna make stock, throw some radish in there
instead of MSG, because it's got its MSG in.
Never put MSG in there, but use natural MSG.
I know MSG gets a bad rap, but in things like naengmyeon, it's been used many times. The cold noodles, it just hits the spot sometimes. And
they've got you fooled.
Yeah, I know, but like you said, it occurs naturally. So I'm just having a natural ingredient outside of its natural habitat. That's the way I convince myself. So you can check out these videos on YouTube by searching Arirang Radio. Yes, Chef. And don't forget, if you are watching on YouTube now, tune in to #DailyK every single day from 9 to 11 a.m. KST here on Arirang Radio for your daily fix of Korean news and cultural tidbits. Okay, it's time to move on to what's in your fridge. Ryan, what do we have today?
All right, Toby in the USA has a fridge related to Thanksgiving ingredients.
Oh, it's Thanksgiving soon, isn't it?
Man, I cooked 2 turkeys last night.
Is it
yesterday.
Over?
No, it's next week.
Next week. Okay.
I've got about 45 turkeys to smoke.
45.
Yeah, I think so.
How
Maybe
on earth
more.
are you going to fit them into a smoker?
My smoker can hold about I'm guessing about 16 at a time.
That's a big smoker. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But happy Thanksgiving. I love this time of year with this. Sometimes I take on a little too much work, but it's still so much fun. You got collard greens, stuffing, sweet potatoes, marshmallows, shredded cheese, and baked ham. Let me tell you a little something about the collard greens that's a really Korean thing that you can do with them. Mm-hmm. Here in Korea, they'll take the greens of the tops of the radishes, like this Moo we're talking about today. They'll also take cabbage leaves, and they'll hang them this time of year. Yeah. Okay? Somewhere maybe in the wind with air circulation, and they dry up. Okay? Yeah. And that becomes ugoji or shiregi here, which goes into soups.
I love
often.
ugoji tang. Yeah.
Well, check it out with collard greens, because I tried this one time here in Korea.
Yeah.
And they're amazing.
Really?
I think it's better than shiregi or ugoji, because collard greens are pretty dense. Super good for you. If you've got some fresh collard greens, I know this might sound crazy in the States, but check it out. Just put them on a string,
like on your washing line or something.
Just put them on a string and hang them maybe like under the eave of the house, somewhere in the shaded side of the house. And just don't worry about them. Just let them dry out. They'll get kind of crunchy, crispy,
for a few days.
But they shouldn't get so crunchy, crispy like a fall leaf that crumbles in your hands.
Right.
They'll probably just kind of get almost leathery. All right. And you'll think, what in the world am I doing this for?
Yes.
But then you can soak them in water. Okay. And they'll get more pliable. And in that process, you're washing them as well.
Yeah.
Then you can put them into a stew. Like if you do a beef stew or something, throw something in the slow cooker at night like we always do back in the States.
Yeah.
Take these leaves and throw them in there and check it out, man. It's a really Korean thing to do.
The texture's completely different than if you put a fresh one in, right?
Right. And you've got this ham, you say, so I would definitely put some of that baked ham in that pressure cooker with the collard greens that way.
Yeah.
And it'll be a lot like Southern collards, like what I grew up loving and still do. But the texture will be different, like Peter's saying. So check that one out. Yeah.
And that texture is so great because it doesn't like disintegrate into the soup or stew, because it's a bit more hardy.
There's another flavor profile that comes out after they've been dried and then reconstituted.
Yeah.
The first time I did it, I was really amazed.
Wow.
It's almost like there's a nuttiness that comes out of because if you eat this kind of stem of the leaf, there is kind of a nuttiness to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, check it out. Let us know what you think, because I know it'll take a few weeks, for these to dry.
A few weeks out. But not in direct sunlight.
I've done some in direct sunlight and it was fine. I've done them in kind of a sunroom kind of thing, like a room that would get cold at night and hot in the day. That worked really well. But yeah, I don't think you got to sweat that too much. Just let them dry, let them get to where they're kind of leathery, and then soak them in water to wash them, and then throw them in that pressure or in that slow cooker with the ham.
Okay, yeah, Toby, give it a try. Don't think it's too weird. First time I tried it, I was amazed as well. So good. So delicious.
Oh goodness, that's a big fridge. Okay, all right. Roz, how you doing today? Let's see. We got chicken breast, Brussels sprouts, eggplant, cranberries, Napa cabbage, sweet onions, and purple onions, and applewood bacon.
All sounds Thanksgiving themed, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is we got really seasonal fridges here. Let's do something fun. Okay, if you take the Napa cabbage and soak it in salt water overnight, like you would for making kimchi, it becomes really nice and pliable. Okay, then you could take the perfect. The Brussels sprouts, chopped up, sautéed a little bit with the onions. Throw in the bacon.
Oh yeah, with Brussels sprouts. That sounds good. Like bacon and cabbage. Yeah.
If you kind of chill the chicken almost to frozen, and then you can cut it into little pieces and sauté that in there too. There's no reason you can't use every single ingredient on this fridge today. But what I'm talking about doing is kind of doing like a spring roll or an egg roll, but using the Napa cabbage leaves as the roll, like they do with the street food here in Korea.
Yeah,
and
then
healthier
roll to it.
They'll put it in a batter and then deep fry it. You don't have to do that.
No.
You can do it just rolled up. Throw all those sautéed guys in there, and then you could sear the outside of the cabbage leaf. That would be awesome, actually, because then that's like, when you go have samgyeopsal and there's those little pieces of kimchi that just get kind of seared on there.
Oh yeah, we had it on Friday for our hwaeshik. So good for our company dinner.
Oh, you guys had a hwaeshik with them?
No, not a hashtag Daily Cake thing. It was a whole radio department thing. We're gonna have a separate one, Ryan. Don't worry, you're gonna be cooking for us. No, I'm kidding. That is a great thing.
That would be really cool, and you can use every single thing in your fridge.
Yeah, fantastic. Tasha, I'm sorry. We've run out of time. We're going to save that for next week. You always have such a wonderful fridge, so that's why we don't have time to go through it all. We did have one other message from Yejuni Mum, or Yejuni's mum, which says, do you know any nice restaurants for moo or radish? And me and Ryan were saying, there's no like radish restaurant, but like we said, the 고등어 조림, so the braised mackerel dish, they will have restaurants for that. Or also, you thought of that dish, 소고기 묵국.
Right.
Which is the beef radish soup. Tastes so good. There aren't dedicated restaurants for that, really. It usually comes out as a soup, as a side dish to like a whole like Korean meal that you get.
Yeah, I guess the moo is kind of taken for granted because it is cheap and it's everywhere. But don't take it for granted. It's amazing.
It's such a good ingredient. Really We've seen how diverse it is as well in the ways you can eat it, even just raw if you've got a good one.
Peter has made such a mess of his.
I know. I'm going to show everyone.
He's got juice all over it from the sangche.
I've got some more. Yeah, look at that. That's disgusting.
If you make this big of a mess, what do your kids do when they're eating dinner?
I don't know. They're making a terrible mess. But luckily, it didn't go on the table instead, so I'm safe in my job, Ryan. Thank you so much for coming in with the radishes and the great inspirational recipes. We'll see you again next Tuesday.
Good deal, man.
All right, cheers. It's time for some 101. This is beautiful.